He took one last night shift and never left. The night shift guard was never found, but something he wrote was. According to county demolition records, Slent Ridgeway Memorial Hospital was scheduled to be torn down in October of 2011. The building had been abandoned since 1998, after a string of unexplained patient deaths forced it to shut down quietly. No press conference, no public investigation, just locked doors and boarded windows. Most people assumed the place was empty. They were wrong. This is the story of Mark Henson, a 32-year-old night shift security guard, and what happened during his final shift. Mark arrived at the hospital at 11:47 p.m. His shift officially began at midnight. The town of Ridgeway barely had 4,000 residents, and almost everyone had some connection to the hospital. A birth, a death, a long night spent waiting in its halls. People whispered about the place now. Some said the building never fully shut down. Others claimed the third-floor lights sometimes turned on by themselves. Mark didn't believe in any of it. He needed the overtime. At 12:06 a.m., Mark locked the front gate behind him and began his first patrol. The air inside the hospital was stale, thick with dust and old disinfectant. His boots echoed loudly against the tiled floors, the sound traveling farther than it should have. Most of the emergency lights were dead. A few flickered weakly, like they were struggling to stay awake. That's when Mark noticed something strange. The building felt occupied, not crowded, just aware. By 1:13 a.m., Mark was making a second round. That's when he heard it, a whisper, soft, drawn out. At first he assumed it was the wind pushing through a broken window. The hospital had plenty of those. Then it happened again, closer, clearer. Mark, he froze. His radio was silent. No footsteps, no movement, just the sound of his own breathing. After a few seconds, he laughed under his breath and kept walking. He would later admit that was the moment everything changed. At 2:17 a.m., Mark wandered into the records office. This room bothered him immediately. According to his assignment notes, it should have been empty. Instead, a single desk lamp sat in the center of the room, unplugged, but still warm to the touch. And on the desk, a file. It was a patient record, yellowed with age. Emily Carter, age 9, admitted March 14th, 1996. Cause of death, complications during overnight observation. Mark flipped through the pages. Routine checkups, notes about trouble sleeping. Then he saw a handwritten remark at the bottom of the final page. Patient complained of voices after lights out. The lights flickered. That's when the whisper returned, not calling his name anymore. Begging. Help me. The temperature dropped so quickly that Mark could see his breath. His flashlight flickered as he turned toward the hallway leading to the pediatric ward on the third floor. Every instinct told him not to go up there, but his feet moved anyway. The elevator didn't work, so he took the stairs. Each step felt heavier than the last. The air grew colder, quieter. Even his footsteps sounded muffled, like the building was swallowing sound. When he reached the third floor, the hallway lights flickered on by themselves. The pediatric ward looked untouched. Colorful murals still lined the walls. Toys were scattered across the floor. A small rocking horse creaked slowly back and forth. There was no breeze. Then he saw her. A small girl stood at the far end of the hall. She wore a hospital gown. Her feet didn't touch the floor. Her eyes were dark and sunken, but not angry, just tired. She raised her arm and pointed at the wall behind her. Mark found a loose panel and pried it open. Inside was a small pink diary wrapped in cloth. Emily's diary. The first pages were filled with childish drawings, stick figures, smiling nurses. Then the tone changed. The handwriting became shaky. They stopped coming when I scream. The man comes after midnight. He tells me to be quiet. Mark's hands trembled. The final entry was dated 3 days before her death. I don't think I'm sick. If someone finds this, please don't leave me here. That's when the hospital came alive. The whispers turned into screams. Lights shattered overhead. The hallway filled with shadowy figures, standing just out of reach, watching, waiting. Mark finally understood. Emily hadn't died from complications. She had been ignored, left alone. forgotten during the night shift. At 3:59 a.m., Mark radioed dispatch. His voice was shaking. He said
Found
he'd
something
found something
terrible.
terrible.
What is it? Over.
I can't explain. Just get here now.
Copy that.
That transmission was the last anyone ever heard from him. The hospital was demolished 2 weeks later, but before that, something started happening every night. At exactly 12 a.m., the third floor lights turned on, not flickering, not failing, just on. One resident across the street filmed it from his window. When he zoomed in, he saw a man standing in the pediatric hallway, a security guard, facing the wall, not moving. Then something smaller stepped beside him and took his hand. No one went back inside after that. On the morning demolition was scheduled to begin, the front doors were found unlocked, wide open. Inside, the third floor didn't look abandoned. It looked prepared. No dust, no damage. Just toys on the floor, murals on the walls. And in the center of the hallway, a small pink diary, open. Behind it, carved deep into the wall, 2 words. He stayed. Demolition crews refused to touch the third floor. The building came down anyway. As the walls collapsed, one worker swore he saw something standing in the dust. Just for a second, a man, still on duty, then nothing. When it was over, when the hospital was completely gone, something remained on the front steps. A diary, perfectly clean, not covered in dust, not damaged. Inside, a new entry, written in adult handwriting. He stayed with me. Below it, a time, 12 a.m. Do you think Mark stayed by choice? Or was he never meant to leave? Tell me what you think in the comments. If you felt the story, like and share the video. Subscribe for more true-style horror stories. Thanks for watching. More true stories after dark.